Hey everybody, welcome to Hat Hole Home Video. I've begun watching the Fallout TV series. I've decided I'm only going to watch an episode a week. I'm 2 episodes in. I meant to make an episode about just the first, or a video about the first episode. My schedule got busy and I couldn't do it, so I'll review the first 2 episodes, and then we'll see. Either I'll do individual episode reviews or I'll do like 2 at a time. Who knows? Right now, my overall impressions are episode 1 was okay, but I'll say it's on the low end of okay. I was giving episode 1 a lot more benefit of the doubt. I think if I had reviewed it on its own before watching episode 2, I would have probably given it a higher rating. Episode 1 is very much, there's not really much of a story. It's setting up the world. It's table setting. It's putting all your pieces on the game board. It's getting ready for an adventure. So I give that a lot of benefit of the doubt. But it really wasn't... I didn't like the way that it was setting up lots of storylines and lots of characters. The show reminds me of The Wizard of Oz. You have Dorothy, you have your main character, and she is on a quest. She's going from A to B to do a thing. And along the way, she meets more characters that have problems to solve, that have parallel goals to Dorothy, or just a moral obligation to feel like they should tag along and help out. Whatever individual reasons are, they sort of get picked up along the way, and that's part of the adventure. This show, it's like if The Wizard of Oz... if the first half hour of The Wizard of Oz movie was showing us the origins of the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion, showing us all of that at the beginning before Dorothy even meets them. And that's a really strange structure. I think it can still be done well, and I don't think it was done horribly with this first episode of Fallout. But it is a weird structure. But again, giving it the benefit of the doubt, I thought, okay, these characters, we're meeting everybody. It's also allowing us to sort of show the bigger world. We have Maximus. You're seeing the Brotherhood of Steel stuff. You've got the Ghoul. You're sort of seeing the state of the world, the state of the wasteland before Lucy gets out there as well. And then the Ghoul, we even get like a flashback origin story for him. So we get not just what he's doing now, but we get his origin story as well. I guess you kind of get Maximus's origin story sort of sprinkled in to the Brotherhood stuff too. It's a lot of table setting. It's not really a whole lot of storytelling or character building, character introduction, but not really character building. But I understand that it's a lot. The world of Fallout is potentially a lot to get people up to speed on if they're unfamiliar. I like most of the characters and most of the actors. Obviously, Walton Goggins, the Ghoul, I think he's sort of, right now, the Darth Maul of the Fallout world, which is really cool character design. Although he does look way too much like Red Skull, for my taste. As a fan of the Fallout video games, I would have preferred he be a little grosser. But whatever, I get it. It's an acceptable compromise. But obviously, great actor playing a visually and aesthetically cool character. But I haven't seen much of him yet, other than the fact that he's cool. So we'll see where that goes. Lucy, the actress, is charming. I don't have any particular issues with the character. There's no negatives, I should say. Except for all the weird, like, cousin stuff, sex humor in the first episode here. It's just weird. It's just weird to have the hero of your story talking about hooking up with their cousin and, like, making it like a ha-ha joke right at the start. Weird tone, but that's fine. I've learned to let that go. But Maximus. Let's talk about Maximus for a second. And again, most of you will have watched the whole show. Most of you will know everything that's going on. So maybe I'm off base. But the show's really selling Maximus as a sympathetic character. Like we're seeing, him as a little kid being saved by the Brotherhood of Steel, but then we're seeing him being beaten up. He's obviously sort of the misfit. A misfit who's being, abused and bullied. And it would seem the show wants me to root for Maximus, but also at every turn, it shows him to be a psychopath and a coward. And I don't know how I'm supposed to... I don't know what I'm supposed to feel for this character. And right now, I don't like him at all. I think he did a horrible thing to his only friend to get ahead in his Brotherhood of Steel career, which also doesn't make any sense because being the giant loser that he is, I don't know how he thought screwing over his friend would get him promoted. It would make no sense for him to be promoted under any circumstances, yet he was. So that's weird. And I guess if not to get no, you know what? No, I'm not gonna derail just yet. I'm talking about Maximus. But then he also, he gets the power armor by, first of all, with his is it Paladin? Now I can't remember the guy in the power armor. I remember his name was Titus. But, and it was Michael Rappaport. But he lets that dude die. Now, I will fully admit Michael Rappaport was being an idiot and being like, when we get back, they're going to string you up and you're going to be dead and blah, blah, blah. It's like, and also I'm dying. Can you bring me a stim pack? Can you get me a stim pack, you dumb idiot who is going to die as soon as I tell everybody what you did? But if I were to die, no one would know what you did. That was a bad call on Michael Rappaport's part. But also, so we've seen Maximus do like a horrible, backhanded, despicable thing to the only person that has ever been kind to him that we've seen. We have seen him... Murder is a strong word, but he failed to intervene, which led to the death of his superior officer, whatever you want to call it. He's doing some really weird, uncomfortable things. And also the way he is played is bizarre and extremely stressful and uneasy to watch. I'm very uncomfortable watching him, especially in the interrogation scene where he got interrogated about putting the razor blades in his buddy's boot. There's something about the way he's played that is just so unhinged, but like someone who is unhinged but doing everything they can to act like a person. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So yeah, those are your three heroes. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, or 1.5 out of 3 ain't bad. Little update to the Meatloaf song. But yeah, so even though ultimately episode 1 didn't have a whole lot of story, I thought it did an okay job setting up the world and kind of putting the characters it's introducing us to on some kind of parallel path. And we know moving forward that these missions are going to intersect at some point, and these characters will ultimately probably team up a la Wizard of Oz. It's just structured very differently. So I give the first episode a pass. I liked it, and then I watched episode 2. And episode 2 is dog shit. And it really dragged my opinion of episode 1 down, because I was giving episode 1 the benefit of the doubt. And after episode 2, I can't really give it that same benefit that I had previous. So episode 2 is just wheel spinning. It is just a complete waste of time. It kills off the character that was teased throughout the first episode as the mission. So our mission is dead. And I know she's cutting his head off and like blah, blah, blah. But this is something that Star Trek Picard did, that even when Picard was being a better show in season 3, it was still really guilty of this, which is introduce a thing that they act like matters, and then throw that thing away by the end of this episode, and it won't come back, and it won't matter ever again. And it won't matter to the larger season-long story being told. And that's another big problem I have with shows like this, which is, why is this a TV show? If you're not telling me 2 stories at the same time, if you're not telling me a story contained within this episode that can be enjoyed in just this episode, while also connecting that to the larger story of the season and making that season-long arc satisfying, then I think you shouldn't be a TV show. I think you should be a movie. Or a couple movies. Or one really long movie like The Irishman. Unfortunately, all this stuff needs to get dragged out for as long as possible because watch time, because ads, for all these reasons. Even though now this is being delivered on streaming, it is not being broadcast live over the airways with commercial breaks and time slots and all the practical reasons why a show was constructed the way that it was. All those limitations are gone, but we're still sticking to this format for no reason other than they want your eyes on it for as long as they can possibly keep your eyes on it, because they want to shove ads down your throat. That's fine, I guess. But from a storytelling standpoint, Hollywood screenwriters have no idea how to make satisfying episodic television anymore. I think the only ones that still know how to do it are like the Law and Order people, but it's just because they've been doing the same exact format for the last 30 years. Again, even with season 3 of Picard, which I liked a lot, it has this major problem of not knowing how to pay things off in the short term and pay things off in the long term at the same time. It just has no idea how to do it. I was shocked at how disinteresting episode 2 was. And it was also some of the worst writing, not dialogue, but it was the worst writing in terms of a storyline. When Maximus and Titus just decide, well, Titus is like, I want to kill something. Helipilot, drop me here. They just drop him in the middle of they're on a mission to go to a city to find a person, and then they just get dropped randomly in the middle of the woods with no idea where they are, with no expectation of now completing their mission, but the first place they go to, the person that they're looking for was there. They find like the lab coat of the scientist that they were looking for. Of all the places you could decide to randomly get dropped in the middle of the woods and wander into, you stumbled onto the trail of the person that you're looking for, and the characters in the show didn't even act like that was like really surprising. Like, the odds of that are just almost zero, and they were just like, oh yep, he's definitely been here. They acted like they found it on purpose, which they definitely didn't. Also, the scientist, who's the guy from Ben from Lost, and I don't know the guy's real name, but he's really good, and I like him. And of course, he's dead at the end of this episode. Hopefully we get some flashbacks of him, but otherwise I feel like his presence in the trailers for this show were kind of a bait and switch. I don't like the fact that he's dead at the end of the second episode. But yeah, the scientist stumbles onto this rad bear cave, and he and his dog totally fine. They just get out of there. Even though we hear the bear growling, even though everything sets up like they're gonna have to deal with this bear, or maybe they'll be trapped by the bear when Titus and Maximus show up. But no, they're just gone. They just got away from the bear, no problem. A guy in power armor can't. A guy that's wearing a suit that is the equivalent. This is how the game used to describe it. The equivalent of an atomic powered tank. He can't handle the bear, but a dorky scientist and his dog, no problem. Just slip right by that bear, his picnic basket. I'm having a lot of problems with this show right now. I hope episode 3 is an improvement. Thankfully, I have managed, I think, to avoid basically any spoilers. Although I think I saw something online that said there were no death claws, but I'm really trying to approach this as just like, I want to be told a good story. I want to be entertained. I enjoy the Fallout wrapping paper that's on everything, and obviously they're squeezing in lots of details. I won't call them Easter eggs. I won't call them fan service, but I'll say they are getting in lots of little Fallout details in the backgrounds and in the environments, and I like that stuff. I'm not gonna lie, but right now the rest of the show, I don't know. I'm in it enough. I like Lucy. I like the ghoul. I want to see more of them. I feel like hopefully there is my gut says a big part of the show is going to be Lucy's a character that really sees things in like black and white. It's like moral and immoral. Although once again, apparently cousin stuff is in that gray area. She does let a little gray into her black and white when it comes to cousin stuff. But I think she's obviously a very naive character. And in these first 2 episodes, people keep looking her right in the eye and going, the wasteland will change who you are. You will have to do bad things to survive. So I feel like the show is going to be about Lucy sort of having to become a morally gray character and a character that does bad things in order to save her dad and to save her vault. I kind of question whether or not she'll even go back to the vault in the end. I think that'll be like that'll be kind of her dilemma at the very end is, once you've gone out and experienced the world, it's like you can't go home again. But I've also seen in the previews that there's more going on at her vault. There's some kind of like weird conspiracy stuff going on at the vault that the show will come back to. So the show's going to be telling the story of the vault, Lucy's story, the ghouls' story, Maximus's story, maybe her dad's story, although I doubt it. We'll probably just see him at the very end. I don't know. It's trying to do a lot. It's trying to do a whole heck of a lot. And I think you would have been better off maybe doing like a trilogy of movies, or an anthology of movies, kind of maybe have each of these characters have their own movie that have some connective tissue between them, but are really their own separate stories. I don't know. I'm just not in a good place with it yet. I want to be. I want to like it. I hope it improves. And I'll say this: there have, I keep going back to it because it's kind of my reference of a recent show that worked, but Picard season 3 had episodes like Fallout episode 2. It had stinky wheel spinning episodes that 100% didn't matter and could have been completely removed, and just the one or two sort of crucial things that we found out or were shown in that episode could have just been quickly sprinkled in to the episodes around it, and you would have not needed that whole episode. So fingers crossed. My fingers are still crossed that I'm going to like it, but there you go. I know everybody's really been digging it. It's got a 90-something reviewer score. What do you call it? Critics score on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's like a high 80s or in the 80s for audience score. I'm just not feeling it yet. And that's, again, that's kind of why I want to watch it slowly. Because I think, I don't think shows should be binged. I think they should be chewed on. I think an episode should exist for you to chew on for a week and hang out and talk with other people that are into the show. And that's what people can criticize Lost all they want, but what Lost did best was that the water cooler talk. When a new episode came out, you got to talk about the episode, you got to talk about what was happening in this episode, but then you also got to speculate, what does this mean moving forward? What does this mean to what we already know? That was every bit as much of the experience of what was making that show great as the show itself. And when you just dump a whole season onto streaming and you just consume it all, talk about it for a day, and then poop it out, it's gone. Doesn't matter. It's not woven into the fabric of your life the way for people of a certain age, so many shows are so important to us and sort of are so intertwined, woven into our memories of being a certain age at a certain time, and all these other things going on in our lives. These shows are somehow like forged and twisted and combined into all those memories. Makes them, kind of makes the show maybe more special than really it had a right to be. But I prefer that to all this stuff being just consumable, disposable junk that we're just supposed to watch so that Amazon can play more ads into our eyeballs. So that's where I'm at. Once again, I'm going to review all the episodes. We'll see. I'll probably from here on out, I'll try to do a review per episode. So, which means I think we would have 6 more videos to come. Very excited. Fingers crossed. Let me know what you guys think. I know most people really love it. But yeah, let me know what you think. Thank you everybody for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.